Hey, it's time for Point and Shoot. This week we take a look at HighKey lighting in your smartphone photography. It's a little different hangout this week because we're only going to give you a preview of what HighKey lighting is. So check it out.
Okay, we're going to get started now in 3,
change your lower third.
Oh, yeah, changing it.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
It's like having your zipper down.
Jeez. That better?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Because last time you did that, you had the
For the
show.
whole time. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, when we're doing the show.
I'll stick a note on my screen like I used to do. All right, let's get rolling.
Take his whiz.
Please, let's get rolling.
Hey, folks. Aunt Pruitt here. Hope you're doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. It's Thursday, May the 21st, and it's time for... I never know the date, man. It's time for Point and Shoot with the Smartphone Photographers Community. This is our weekly hangout on there where we get together and talk about different tips and tricks to use to get better at taking shots with your smartphone, you know, because we've been trying to say this for a couple of years now. What, about 2 years now, folks? That these cameras on your phones, they're not the greatest in the world, but they can still take some really, really nice photos. It just takes about 2 seconds of effort. You know what I mean?
And
not that much. Yeah.
And I want to correct you.
Well,
They're not. They are really good. In most cases, they are really good.
See, that's not what I said. I said they may not be the greatest. I didn't say they wasn't good. I said they may not be the greatest. There's a difference. Big difference. Anyway, we joined tonight with some of our moderators tonight. I'm going to allow these guys to introduce themselves. We got a few others that were supposed to pop in, and they have their invitations, and when they're able to pop in, they will. But for now, we'll start out with my man down in Stormy, Tejas, Mr. Michael King. What's happening, brother?
What day of the week is this?
This would be Thursday.
I do know it's Thursday. I don't know about the rest, though.
Because I don't know what day it is. I've been on the go since Friday. I mean, I haven't been home that much because it's been a hell of a week.
Yeah, you down there in Tornado Alley dealing with all of that madness. You
for the first time in my life, I've never seen a tornado until Tuesday. I saw my first one, and I kicking myself in the pants because I didn't have my SLR with me.
Mercy, man. Well, I'm glad you're actually able to sit here in this here hangout tonight.
I just got home about
safely
2 hours ago.
And can talk about it, you know, because it's behind you, my man. Appreciate you joining us, you know.
Anytime. It's right now the distraction, and if you see me dozing off, just wake me because I am that tired.
If you do, I'm just going to say that is our old man, Michael King, and I will put the camera. I am going to put the camera on you while you're sleeping, too.
We're going to do a Kickstarter for a rocking chair for you.
This is a rocking chair.
Nice call. All right. Next, my man, Mr. Mike Sweeney in the house. How you doing, bro?
Doing well, everybody. Surviving over here in semi-sunny California.
Semi-sunny California.
Yeah, we actually had rain.
Which is still better than about 90% of the country. That's
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm not complaining. Trust me. Not complaining at all.
Yeah, we just had a cool front come through, and yesterday, throughout the state of Texas, it was in the 80s and 90s. Today, it's been in the 70s. So it's quite nice.
So my man, Mr. Sweeney, he hosted last week's show in my absence. And Sweeney, like I told you 2 weeks ago, I am sorry. I apologize ahead of time for that group, man. And I thank you again for hosting and tolerating me. I was trying my best to participate.
Yeah, we saw how much you were trying.
Yeah. Then I had a moment. Hold on. Then I had a moment where I just gave up, and I was like, these dudes, they're not gonna let me do this. And
yeah, we saw about 3 drinks and one in one hand, another one sitting in your lap, and then all those girls hanging around you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, we just lost. It just dropped out. We just lost to Sweeney. Now he's back.
That was weird.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I mean, Google just literally went, flip.
Just puked on you. Well, glad you're back. But yeah, for real, thank you again for hosting last week. And
It was
And,
fun.
And
We had a good time.
yeah, you did. It was a great hangout to watch and listen to. I listened to it the other day, and it was really nice to hear it and fun to listen to you guys discuss everything and rip each other here and there. It's good stuff. I love it, man. I love it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started here this week. Folks that have not seen our little hangout on air, what we do is not only we talk about the different tips and tricks to make you a better smartphone photographer, but we also have a weekly photography challenge. And each week the challenge has all of these different shots submitted by the community members only using their smartphones. And the community will vote on their favorite shots that are submitted based on the theme of the challenge. Now, last week's challenge was won by Miss Nicole H, and she submitted the challenge of HighKey lighting. HighKey lighting. Sadly, we don't have a lot of participation on it, but I've made an executive decision, and we're going to extend this week's challenge. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because, personally, I think it's rather difficult. I mean, number one, if you're going to do it with the subject matter of people, you got to get somebody that's going to consent to be photographed, number one. And I have a hard time finding that with people. People like doing their selfies and things like that, but the second you say, "Can I take a photo of you?" they get a little timid.
Yeah, they shy.
So that's part of the challenge. And a lot of the examples that we shared in HighKey photography deals with people. I hardly ever saw different objects that were the subject matter. Every single time I looked in there, it was something about a person with the white background and perfect lighting with that white background to where it didn't blow out the image. Because if you got too much light, it'll just look like a freaking white square on your screen. But you got to have the lighting right to be able to see just enough details, but not too much shadow on it. It's a pretty tough challenge, for those that's going to try to dive into this thing. So I extended it today. We're going to extend it out to next week and take a look at the photos that comes in. I'll still take a look at one or two now that's in here. So let me do a screen share just to show what it's like and some of the differences there. So screen share.
All right.
We'll do. Dang it! Which window is it?
Damn if I know. I don't have your setup.
It's that one. Still don't have my monitor, so I'm still lost. Good grief. Okay, you guys see my screen now?
Yeah. And you're right about getting permission because I have a little blonde here, and she tells me if I don't ask her, I'm going to be sleeping on the couch.
That's probably the least offensive thing that will happen if you do it.
Oh yeah. Also, she gets a little. She's a blonde, but she has a temper of a redhead.
That's so funny.
There you go.
You guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, now this one
There's
here.
Nicole's.
This is from Nicole. She's the lady that actually submitted this particular theme for the challenge. And as I said previously, with HighKey photography, and Sweeney, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you know a lot more about these different techniques than I do, and I'm grateful for you being around and being able to, shed some light on this stuff. But my understanding is with HighKey, you have your subject and you have the proper lighting all against a white background. And the trick is to not blow out your particular subject matter from all of your lighting and from that white background. That sound right?
Sort of.
All right.
I want to pull up a picture if I can here.
Okay.
So let's see here. One thing you got to watch for, and it's true in this particular picture, is the blacks. That's not HighKey.
Right.
So let me get to our good friends at Flickr, because I actually have a HighKey shot there.
Okay.
It'll take me just a second to get to it. But the thing about HighKey is it's literally well lit, brightly lit. They used it in Hollywood a lot to smooth out face details. It was very flattering light. You know, if your skin is a little on the rougher side,
Yep.
or you're of a certain age, you know, you could either put the nylon over the lens, or you could do a high key look, which would give you that almost like porcelain looking skin,
Right.
kind of lose the detail. So, excuse me.
So now, like with this one here of Nicole, you said the black is what's negating on this
Too
one?
black. It's got too much black.
Mhm. Okay, so what if she had maybe been off of the zoom a little bit to where the white background showed up a little more around her head? Would that be okay?
Got the skin going right,
Yeah.
but I think she punched up those blacks. And at this point, she's dealing with high contrast, not
Right.
high key.
Okay. Oh, I get it now. I get it.
I'm almost where I need to be.
Because see, if you decrease the contrast, you'd probably be able to see the actual strands of her hair a little more.
A little more.
Because right there, I mean, that's totally
Here we go.
opaque.
Found it. I knew I had it. Let me make it big.
Okay, go ahead. Camera's
And
yours.
let me go ahead and see if I can share without screwing it up.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Watch Safari.
There we
Prime.
go. There we
That
go.
is classic high key.
Right.
It's a pale gray typically. You blow the skin tones, but you keep enough detail to see what it is. But this is a classic high key shot.
Okay.
And in fact, it's probably a little higher than the classic shots.
I was gonna say the bottom looks a little too bright for me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a bit brighter than the classic high key.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly is that face where the eyes are, the hair. You see the detail. You see the fine detail of the eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really not a lot of contrast there.
Yeah.
You know, the hard contrast that is this Nicole? Yeah, Nicole's got. That's not high key. That is a high contrast picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I like the picture, but it's not. It's not what was asked for.
Of course.
If she would have cut back down on the blacks a little bit, then it would have been a high key.
Well, let me see here. We got another one in there from her. Well, I'm clicking on the wrong daggum screen. Jeez, Anthony, get it together, dude.
Yeah, I got another high key I can pull up.
There. Here's another one from her. You see that? Now
That's
this one,
closer.
yeah, this
That's
one
much
doesn't have
closer.
as much black. I guess maybe this is a little hard on the edge there, but I don't know. I think it's a fine line between having these edges a little too sharp, you know. I mean, I like the way here the face is still smoothing out right there because you don't get like a jagged jawline there from her. You know what I mean?
I actually like this.
Yes.
It's a little bright, but I like the composition. I like the direction she went.
Yeah.
I think in this case there needs to be just a touch more contrast, but she's definitely on the right track.
By applying that additional contrast, what do you think will come out more?
You would see the chain a little bit more. The face wouldn't be so blown against that white background along the chin line and lips.
Whoops, go back.
Whoa.
There we go. Okay, so right there. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a fine line and fine tuning.
Right. Now here's another. This is considered high key. It's not exactly traditional. You know, big surprise. I kind of go off the tangent now and then.
You? Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a tendency to go off the deep end.
You know, again, I blew out the background.
Okay.
I blew out quite a bit of the skin, but there's just enough there to get a hint of texture. But
See,
the eyes
skin.
and the lips are right there, so you can actually see them.
See, the skin I dig, the eyes I dig. Up at the upper right corner.
Upper right here.
Yeah, for me, the upper right and I guess like upper middle, it seems like it's just really, really bright. It almost hurts. It's so bright. You know what I mean?
You got a calibrated monitor?
Yeah, Yeah. Of course I do.
Let's see here.
But everything else, I dig it though.
Yeah, this was the original.
Okay. And
And
who
this
was this
was
model?
She was the mom of a model that we were shooting.
Oh, okay.
And she said, she wanted to have some fun, so we went ahead and set her up and had some fun.
That's awesome.
And she was an awesome model, I have to say.
That's awesome. Looks great.
So this is another of that same style I was playing with there.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about these particular HighKey images is you could almost call it a salvage, because I wasn't really happy with the lighting on the original image.
Mm-hmm.
But in post-processing, working with HighKey, it basically self-corrected the image and gave some really clean results in HighKey. And so this is a technique that if you've got a portrait that is blown out or suboptimal, play with a HighKey. You might be able to pull off a pretty amazing image. HighKey tends to be black and white, so you get rid of the color issues.
I want to see, and this is in all seriousness, gentlemen.
Okay.
I want to see a really nice example of HighKey with somebody that's African American. Someone that's got the skin color of mine, or even darker. I'm curious to see what that would look like, because I could see when you talk about smoothing out the skin on someone that's Caucasian. I mean, it is a direct difference when you see it on the screen versus seeing them in real life after the HighKey processing. I'm wondering what that effect would be on someone with the more tan skin tone, a black person or Asian or what have you. Curious, have you seen anything like that?
Not recently. It's an interesting idea, though.
Yeah, it is. I would imagine it'd be about the same, but only thing is the skin tone be a little darker.
All right. But again, even with the whole HighKey, as Sweeney said, you get the whole smoothing effect because Hollywood was trying to hide, some of the imperfections,
some of the flaws.
Yep. So I wonder, how does that affect someone with darker skin? Was it even possible?
This one's a little
into that.
Yeah, this one's a little starker.
Some of the earlier Sammy Davis Jr. movies, they use a little bit of that HighKey on him to smooth it out. Yeah. And of course, Sammy Davis Jr., he's black, so I imagine it'd be the exact same thing, the same way of doing it. It's just that you'll just have a little darker skin tone than a Caucasian. That's probably the only difference.
Yeah, I'm curious. See, now I got to go look up some old Sammy Davis Jr. stuff.
I mean, these are like old when they were black and white stuff. I
know.
When he did some of the westerns, like I think he was on The Rifleman once.
Wow, The Rifleman. Oh,
yeah, there's something I haven't thought of in quite a while.
Good grief, man.
He played a bad guy in it, and he was in that. And they used a little HighKey on. In fact, they used a lot of HighKey in that movie, that show.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna see if I can dig up some stuff, and I got a hunch with this challenge. If I'm gonna submit a shot, I'm gonna end up having to do a mount this thing on a tripod, self timer, set up the lights, and see what I can do. Because I've struggled with trying to figure out a subject matter to shoot that I would like against some type of bright white background, but I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think it necessarily should be people, or can it be different objects?
It can be different things. It's I think it's going to be a little tougher with objects, but I suspect you can pull it off with a little bit of thought.
Because someone in the challenge offered a shot of an object.
They did? I didn't see it.
Looked like a crystal.
Oh, wait a minute. Tim did put that in there. Where'd it go? Dadgummit. Yep, there it is. I see it. Hold on, let me pull it up for the viewers. Screen share. And that's.
I'll probably have to do something like that.
There we go. All right. Okay. Whoops, dang it. I keep clicking that. There. Sorry, Tim. Then see this one, it didn't really do anything for me.
Same here, but you can do it with I think he overdid it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mike?
maybe too much contrast.
Yeah, I saw this and I didn't care for this one at all.
Hmm.
I think was overdone.
Wonder, let's see, he did this on his OnePlus. Yeah, OnePlus One with FV5.
FP5, yeah. He's been on a Photoshop Express kick lately.
Yeah, I think that's his thing now. I think that's his thing.
Photoshop, Photoshop on the mobile is not bad at all.
I still can't figure it out. It might just be me, though. Sometimes they childproof these apps, and I can't figure them out. Jeez. All right, so that's a brief look over at HighKey photography. If you're interested in it, I'm going to put a link to tonight's video. I'll put a link to the definition of HighKey lighting so people can get a further understanding of it as they read over our different videos. So let's take a look-see at some other stuff. Mr. Sweeney shared an article about some new Photoshop, well, not new Photoshop
It's
tips,
not
but
new.
some Photoshop tips for beginners. This is a fairly recent publishing, but I looked over it earlier, and I like the fact that it just gives you, some bottom line stuff, and basically says, I'm looking at it right now for verbatim. Why do you fail in Photoshop? Number one, you're not aware of the tools. Number two, thinking Photoshop as it is fun. Number three, learning professional tutorials without basic understanding. Number four, using wrong tools at the wrong time. Yep.
Amen.
And number five, adding too many contrasts. Too many contrasts. Mr. Sweeney, you want to tell us a little bit about this article?
Sure. So this is one of those articles I wish I'd seen when I started with Photoshop. I'm going to move this over here. The deal about Photoshop, it's a very complicated tool. It can do things quickly. It can do things really well, but it's a very complicated tool. And from my own observations and helping people and teaching classes, I would say number three, the learning tutorials without the understanding is probably the number one problem that we have today. With the plethora, you like that word?
Plethora, damn.
With the plethora, how about myriad? With the myriad. Of training tutorials out there,
Mm-hmm.
People will go in and they say, I want to know how to do a selection. And they watch a YouTube video and they learn how to do a selection. But they learn it by rote. They don't actually learn what the tool is and how the tool works and what they're actually doing when they do this. It applies with filters. It applies with a lot of aspects of Photoshop. And so number 3 and 4 actually lead into one another, because once you've learned a technique, you tend to use it a lot. And what you know is what you know. What you don't know, you don't know. And so people will learn something. They learn it one way, and all of a sudden you realize much later that you've been doing it wrong, quote unquote, or you've been doing it the hard way for a long time,
right,
because you're using the wrong tool. It's not that the tool won't do it. It's just really not the right tool for the task. I mean, I can pound a nail in with a sledgehammer, but the reality is I don't need the sledgehammer.
Right.
I need a smaller hammer.
Yeah.
So that seems to be the big thing. The other thing that beginners tend to struggle with a lot is Photoshop is a throwback to the old school way of doing things. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about the days of yore with WordPerfect, where everything was a combination of Control-Alt-Shift, F7, Control-Shift this, different keyboard combinations. Even today, Word will work with keyboard combinations, but nobody knows them. Everybody's used to clicking on a mouse. Photoshop was designed from the ground up to be a keyboard-driven application, because it's faster, once you learn them, to do keyboard than it is to take your mouse, look around, where's that damn menu, click 6 times to get to what it is you want, when you can really just do 3 keys and be done. And there seems to be a natural resistance for people not to want to learn the keyboard. If they can't have a mouse in their hand, they kind of freak out.
Oh, dude, I love keystrokes. There's something about hitting that Alt menu and another key with it, all with your left hand, and then using the arrow keys if possible. Shoot, I love that. It's so much quicker. I haven't figured them out in this application, but
No,
it's
this
so
one takes a
much
bit of
quicker.
work. This takes a bit of dedication. And while we're on that subject, I'll add to this. If you really want to use Lightroom to its fullest potential, it's keystroke driven.
Mm-hmm.
You can fly in Lightroom with the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen guys blow through 1,000 pictures in just a few minutes, selecting, picking, getting rid of, and getting their workflow done. It is just astounding to watch.
I've tried to use Lightroom more so with the sliders on my arrow keys instead of the mouse, because I feel like with my mouse I go too much one way or too little the other way.
Yeah,
it pisses me off, and sometimes I don't like typing in the digits, and so I just use the arrow until it just feels right, and then enter.
See, I'm kind of a hybrid here. Well, yeah, no comments. I'll use the keyboard for a lot, but the reality is when I'm editing, compositing, it's a Wacom. I've got a tablet in front of me, and I won't use the mouse or keyboard hardly at all. Yeah. I've got everything programmed on the Wacom, and that is my keyboard.
Yeah, that's a whole different tool there.
It is. Well, it is. It takes a whole different mindset to use.
Yeah.
Now, I've relearned a lot of stuff using Force Touch.
Of course.
Because my new computer that I just got has Force Touch on it.
And that makes sense, because that's a whole different input. I see Sweet's got the shortcuts on his screen here.
Yep. This is a basic keyboard with the basic shortcuts that you really want to pay attention to. You've got your eraser, right here. You've got your text tool. You got a select. You got your eyedropper. The pen tool is kind of hit and miss anymore. Not a lot of, your graphics designers like to use it, but most of the folks I know don't use it anymore. You got your crop tool, you got your zoom tool. The plus and minus is good for zooming in and pulling back out again. These are all really simple keystrokes that once you learn these basics and get it kind of in your head, you can really work pretty rapidly without having to remember where in the menu is that keyboard, where in the menu is this selection I need. And you can find these pictures all over Google. I mean, just Google, Photoshop keyboard basic, and you can find some type of map picture to kind of stick up over your desk and use as a guide as you go along.
And there's a few times I've done, I think it's Shift T or something like that, where you're in Photoshop. And you go to the menu, and it tells you the shortcut out to the side.
It does. It absolutely does.
And I've seen that, and I'm thinking, all right, okay, next time I need to do this, I need to do Shift T or Shift whatever it is at that time, just to try to speed it up. But unfortunately, I don't have those memorized, so I don't get it until I actually go into those particular menus.
You can't see it here, but I keep a little shortcut list on the wall next to me.
Ah, life hacker.
I'm telling you, man. My wall, I never use it for anything that it's intended for, but I've got all this shortcuts and pictures and stuff laying up there.
Now, I have another thought about this Photoshop thing, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience. People that are wanting to get into photography and photo editing, originally, I couldn't just up and buy Photoshop. So I had to look at, what did I have at my fingertips already. And at that time, it was whatever Windows had built in. And I think it was called
Paint. MS Paint.
It was Paint, and it was another one that was a little better than Paint. I think it was Photo Editor or...
Yeah, I think Photo Editor.
Oh, wow. Like I haven't thought about that in years.
And that's how long it's been. It's been at least 12 years or so, right? And those interfaces on them, they were not as busy. There was not as many options in them. It was very, very basic.
They weren't as cluttered.
Right. Yeah, and they're not as cluttered. So, and then you're thinking, dang, I wish I could do a little more. I wish I could do a little more. And I ended up jumping into paint.net and got somewhat comfortable with paint.net. But I remember the first time I saw the word layers, and I'm like, what the heck is layers? You know, I didn't know. And I know I'm not the only person that felt that way.
Oh, no, you're not.
And I'm like, so what are layers and what do I do with these things? And okay, my screen says I have 2 layers here, but I swear it looks like I'm looking at the same picture every time I click on one, and you know, just little nuances like that. And then when I finally got a little more comfortable with that, I said, all right, I still can't get Photoshop. Let me try something else that's closer. Let me go to GIMP. I get into GIMP, and GIMP scares the absolute shit out of me. It's like, oh my gosh, people are using
all this stuff.
Every nerd I knew that didn't have Photoshop, they were all about GIMP. You know, number one, because it's free and open source, and number two is because it has a ton of different tools in there.
I couldn't stand GIMP.
And I got in there, man, and it took a long time to just get over my little anxiety, if you will, of going through the different menu options and stuff. And then I finally saw shortcuts and things inside of the different menus and figured out, okay, yeah, I can do this Control F or whatever, you know, to do this or that. And then I got into Photoshop. Photoshop gave me the exact same anxiety that GIMP gave me, you know. Is this something that engineers could work on for people like me that aren't just comfortable with jumping into these different apps, knowing I can change this and can change that down to the down to the pixel, you know?
So the answer is complicated. I think the short answer is yes, they could.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is kind of a big but that's going to come here.
When
you're dealing with beginners.
Oh yeah.
It's not like dealing with someone who is wanting to do home repair for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 99% of the people out there know what a nail is, they know what a hammer is, they know what a screwdriver is.
Yep.
99% of the people out there have no idea what a lasso 2 is, or what scale means, or what skew means.
Right.
They don't know the terms.
Right.
You know, and when the application starts saying, well, what do you want to save your file as? Do you want PSD, or do you want JPEG, or do you want JPEG 2000, or whatever? They kind of go, I don't know. What is all this crap?
Yeah.
And it really comes down to there is not, at this point in time, there is not a tribal knowledge base of this geeky stuff that makes up Photoshop, or any other photo editor for that matter.
Right.
I suspect in 10 years, like my 11-year-old's learning Photoshop right now in her art class.
My little sister is.
I mean, by the time she's 20, you know, layers will not scare her at all. She'll be asking, why can't I have 6,000 layers?
Right. Right. Right.
But we're kind of in that in between, because I know a lot of folks that started graphics work on paper and transitioned into digital graphics.
Right.
And you know, they're still learning the terms and figuring some of this stuff out. Most of my photographer friends don't know it. They understand f-stops in film and what a sensor is.
Right.
But they're clueless about what all these terms in Photoshop mean. But then you got the kids who are cutting their teeth on Photoshop or that type of editing, and the whole thing will be a second nature to them in another 5 years.
Of course. You know,
so,
I don't know.
Can they make it simpler? I think they can. I'm just not sure the population right now could understand it, even if they did.
You know, I found myself going through the help menus that's built into the Creative Cloud, because Adobe touts those things. I mean, they tout those things, and I'll read that and I'm like, yeah, I still don't
not
get
so
it.
much.
Still don't get it. So the next thing I do is I go to YouTube and I will look up layer mask.
Yep.
You know.
16 billion, you know, later.
Yeah, and I'm skimming through that. Okay, which one is not too short? Which one is not too long? You know, because if it's too short, I know I'm not going to get it. If it's too long, I'm going to fall asleep.
You're going to fall asleep. Yep.
You know, so I'm skimming through those, and then I'll finally find something that gives me a better understanding of it. And lets me pause it and jump to my app, go to that menu, and see if I can replicate what they're doing, you know. But then by the time I'm done, man, I done been over here an hour, and I just changed the contrast on my picture, you know. I'm done. I'm done. It gets a little frustrating, and I'm thinking there's got to be an easier way. But at the same time, I can appreciate this service allowing me to change every little detail that I can on there. You know, if I want to make the corneas and scleras of my eyes a little clearer, I can do that. You know,
you can.
I love that detail.
Hey guys, I found out about Portis.
Uh-oh. Is he okay?
Uh-oh.
No, what's happened, he decided it was a bunch of updates had to be done, and it wouldn't shut down until it did the updates. And he said he's waiting for them to get done and be back in.
Thank you, Windows.
No, he's on an iMac.
That's on an iMac.
He's on a Mac?
Yeah.
No.
That's pretty bad.
I don't
know like that. That's pretty bad if he let that happen.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't let anything install on its own.
Jeez. But yeah, I found that article very, very interesting, and I enjoyed that it's something so straightforward like that. You know.
So let me spin it a little bit differently for you.
Please.
And here's something I was thinking of this last week actually. So you got geeks like us that live in Photoshop, Lightroom, you know, whatever. Pick an editor of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on my phone and I can buy 6 different apps for 99 cents to $1.99.
All right.
And get 90% there on my phone with these apps that do one thing and do it really well.
Okay.
Why do I need Photoshop? Think of the average user. Why do I need Photoshop?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an app that I just picked up. Let me get the name right because I'll probably blow it if I don't. And it's actually a very impressive editing. It does facial recognition, and when it does it, it comes back and it says it's called Magic Eye, or actually I've got 2, Visage Lab and Magic Eye. But Visage Lab will actually come up, and it's for portraits, and it does a scan of the picture, and if you don't have a person in it, it says I don't see a face.
Okay.
So you crop your picture, you get your face, and then it comes by and it will get rid of the red eye. It does the skin tone, does the color balance, does the sharpening, all based around what makes a nice portrait.
Well, damn.
Done.
So you don't need Photoshop if you got that.
You don't.
Yeah. Now on a smartphone, now if you're doing with desktop stuff, that's where this really Photoshop's really for is your desktop editing.
Well, I would agree. Except the reality is, when I'm shooting with my phone, maybe about 5% of these pictures end up in Photoshop at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, 95% of the time I can get good enough, and those are the magic words, I can get good enough with the apps that are currently available for my iPhone.
Good enough. Yeah.
There is no reason to drop into Photoshop and spend another day picking on an image.
I agree.
Yeah, on the smartphone or on a tablet, whatever the editor you use on it, a lot of times it does just as good as Photoshop. And it, I'm just talking about the ones that use Photoshop are the ones that are actually using your raw photos and stuff like that. But for a smartphone, whatever a good app that you would use, just use it because it just needs to be good enough.
I think what it boils down to is the person. The person and what did they shoot? What did they shoot it with? And what are they trying to present with this photo? Because a lot of folks, they just want it to be pretty enough for Facebook. That's all they want.
Right. A lot of that times I even if it's just going to Facebook, I just use the photos editor that comes in iOS because that gets it just good enough for what I want. Now, if I want to do something that's going to go in the group, I'll use.
You put some work in, right?
I will put a little more work into it. I'll use Snapseed. I'll use
You better put some work in because
that's
you know
putting
we're
some
gonna
work
rip
in.
you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if it's going to Facebook, I just do a little editing in the photo app. That's it, and it goes up.
Nice. Well, I will link to this article here. This was on graphictunnel.com.
Yep.
Graphictunnel.com. And
Yeah,
I'll
they
link
got
to
some
that
interesting
article
stuff there.
to let people further read up on that. Did you guys have anything else? I had one thing that I wanted to bring up from last week, and shameless.
I just talked about Visage, so yeah.
That
That was it.
He's
That
like,
was it.
I'm done. You got enough out of me. Leave me alone. Jeez. Well, last week, you guys were discussing long exposure briefly. Because we talked about motion and motion blur,
Sure.
and the app Camera FV5 was mentioned a couple times, and I know in the past, Sweeney, and I think you have too, Mr. King, have mentioned manual on iOS.
Yes.
And just this past weekend, I went on a hike, and I decided to go a little later in the evening, and I decided to take my camera because I knew that there's just where I hike it's
You
pretty.
get the prettier sky later in the evening, so.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll take my camera, and I went out there, and I'm hiking through, but what I didn't realize is I went a little later than I should have because it damn near got dark. Okay. Damn near got dark as I was getting started. I ended up coming back out of the trail in the dark. And when I got to this particular spot on the trail, I'm going to share my screen because I wrote this up for a new domain just to share photography tip. So I'm going to share my screen there. But when I got to the spot that I wanted to shoot and I pulled my camera up, this is what it looked like.
All I see is your face.
Well,
I got it. I see it, but I just see a blank,
There we go.
black
Got it.
screen.
Yeah, that right there is what it looked like when I pulled my camera out to shoot the scene that I wanted to see. It was and it pissed me off. I was like, oh damn it, this stupid phone won't let me see this, yada yada yada.
You just got the wrong app.
Yeah, then I thought about it, I was like, damn it, wait a minute, you got all these apps on your phone, you got to figure out something. So I went to Camera FV5, and I knew that I could adjust ISO and I could adjust shutter speed.
Good.
And so what I ended up doing was opening up this shutter speed up to 0.6 because my particular phone maxes out the shutter speed at 0.6 seconds.
Okay.
Other phones I know that can do a little more than that. Some of them can probably do up to 2 seconds, I believe I've read, but mine, not so much. But in this scenario, it's exactly what I needed because standing in the same spot,
there you go.
I got that shot.
That looks
Excellent.
nice.
Excellent.
And I just wanted to share that with people because a lot of people are like me. You're just out and about, and sometimes I call this article, shoot what you see, not what the camera sees. When you want to see it and it's not there, this is how you're going to get it. So go into your particular apps of choice, whether it's manual, whether it's Camera FV5 or Visco Cam. There's a ton of them out there.
Find something you like.
Yeah, there's a ton of them out there. Go into it, figure out the differences between shutter speed and the differences between ISO of 50 versus an ISO of 1200 or something like that. Because there's a lot of different variations there, and you're going to get a lot of different effects in the end.
And for those folks that don't understand what the hell the shutter speed's all about, doesn't matter. Just play with it.
Just play with it. Yes.
Play with it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't hurt a thing to play with it.
And that's something that I liked about Camera FV5, not a sponsor, was playing around with that shutter speed. You saw that screen there. It's just a slider, okay? Yep. So it was on the fastest speed ever. I guess it's 1/80,000th, or God, that's a big number. Some big number. That's really, really fast. So it was at the fastest speed, and it's just a slider. And as I was sliding that meter, I could see in the background what my camera was seeing, and I noticed more light was starting to come in. you know, and I got it to where I thought it would be optimal, and ended up being at the 0.6 seconds, to where I had just enough light to come in, and it wasn't going to be all grainy and noisy, you know. Ideally, when you shoot these long exposure shots, you know, the stuff that's longer than like maybe longer than a quarter of a second, Sweeney, you think?
Well, it depends.
But ideally you want to have it very, very still, like on a tripod
Or a rock.
Or a rock.
Tree branch, something.
Something to keep it steady, because you're keeping that shutter open longer, you can really subject yourself to vibration and getting.
And I'm telling you right now,
blur.
And noise.
on these little guys,
Mm-hmm.
the sensors are so small, the littlest bit of vibration is death to the picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
I've seen it a million times.
I've done it a million times.
Yeah, trying to shoot in low light, man. Especially, I remember with my HTC One, and I loved that phone. I loved the camera. It wasn't the best camera, but I was able to get pretty good use out of it. But I had some challenges at first in low light, because even though it was touting to be a great low light camera and yada yada yada, you crank the ISO up and move just a smidge. Yeah, grain and noise, it was filthy.
So let me show you my best friend for doing this.
What you got there?
Right here. It's called the UltraPod.
Nice.
It's a little plastic tripod, and this thing rocks. It's small enough to fit in a very small belly pack,
Mm-hmm.
so you can drag it with you anywhere you go. And what's kind of interesting is the legs are actually L-shaped, and you see that little bit of Velcro right here?
Yep.
So that Velcro is actually a strap that unwraps, and you can take the leg, since it's a V or an L, you can hook it around something corner, or you can hook it around a round piece of tubing like a rail, a handrail, use the Velcro and strap it down.
Strap it down tight.
Yep.
Ah.
In fact, I think they've got a picture here of it. Yeah, you can see it here on the...
that's awesome.
And
That's
it's a
awesome.
sweet rig. I take this thing everywhere.
Now, Sweeney, I noticed it's got the little the clip on the screw to mount and to have a camera mounted to it. Now, what do people with smartphones how are they going to use this particular tripod? You got to have some type of clamp to go with your smartphone, right?
So I've got a couple different ways to handle that. I've actually got a tripod adapter I bought with one of my tripods.
Mm-hmm.
But the I can't reach the other one. Yeah, it'll go away soon.
It's all right.
Let me turn off this and you can see it. Let's see here. There we go. So this is actually not a tripod right now, but it's got clamps on it.
Yeah.
So I can actually put my phone in its case, clamp it down, and it's got the screw on the bottom that goes into any kind of tripod mount.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is kind of a pricey one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a $30 case I bought from Oliclip.
Yep.
That's actually got a plastic thread in it in the case for a tripod mount.
So what's the difference between using that and just like a strap and the glyph from Studio Neat?
It's whatever you want.
Because it seems like if you're using that clamp thing, it's exactly the same thing as the glyph from them, and then it's, what is that, like a Velcro strap that they're putting around the tree?
Mm-hmm. But no, the point of my question was
how to hold the camera.
Yeah, how are you going to hold a smartphone to a tripod? I just wanted people to understand that the smartphone had to have some type of adapter.
Some type of something around it in order to clamp it into that
to
thing.
get into a tripod, whether it's your glyph or what have you.
If I'm not mistaken, there are some cases that you can get for the smartphone that has the adapter to.
That's why
some cases have that
like
thread
the Oliclip
Yeah,
case I have has it. The underwater case, the water shot case I use has a tripod metal thread on top of it.
I've
Doesn't
seen
I
one
think doesn't the
case.
outer box do it too?
Yeah, I've seen one case, and it was an OtterBox, and it was only in portrait mode. It wasn't in landscape mode.
Now, in my book, I actually showed how to hack a case with a $1.50 worth of nuts and bolts.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, that was a good little tutorial you have in there. So
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do this.
I had my I had the telephoto lens, which had a clip that clamped onto your phone, and you put the telephoto lens on there, which could mount to a tripod. And I've done this several times, and now I can't find a daggum clamp. I got my telephoto lens, but I can't find my daggum clamp. It's pissing me off. Because I've been wanting to do some more tripod mounted shots, not necessarily telephoto, but I wanted to do some more where my phone was still on the tripod and I walked.
So all you got to do is you get a stick, your phone, and a bungee cord, and just wrap it.
Okay.
Well, these I'm still believe it or not, I get a lot of these little tripod.
Don't make it hard, Ant.
You know, I feel like I have been enlightened.
A lot of times I get a lot of products in that I kind of use as a fad, but I still use these square jellyfish tripod.
Yeah.
I still use these. This is one that's bigger. It's for we use it for the iPad Mini. This one because it's larger,
bigger.
But it's these are invaluable. I mean,
absolutely.
Over the weekend, I was driving back from Oxnard, and that's not exactly a short drive, and we grabbed one of these, grabbed a Samsung, and plopped it in there, and we watched movies on the way home, on the drive home, and just having these and these little.
You didn't have the movies on the dash where the driver could see it.
I have.
No, it was below the dash and out of the view of the driver.
I live in Carolina, so it don't matter, damn it.
And so having these kind of tripods and little clips and stuff just in my bag at all times, I don't even know how to live without it, honestly. It works really, really well to just have them, and I mean. Things
it'd be a real sucky existence to be like the average human, wouldn't it?
I know,
mere mortals.
In the car, in my car, I have a suction cup mount. I have legs. I have Gorilla Pods. I mean, I could do a full-on production in my car wherever I go. And the nice thing about when I'm out and about, if I have to take something more than my phones. If I take a webcam, the webcams even I buy now all come with those tripod mounts in them. So it makes it incredibly easy to get really nice shots wherever you go.
This webcam I'm on is sitting on a tripod right now.
Yeah. And then
that's Michael, Alex, Portis, Lindsay for you.
And it's like even the Re. One of the things I got right away for the Re, you can get a little tripod here or a little stand mount that turns this into it takes time lapse photos automatic. It charges it and then it sets that for time lapse photos when you set it on this base, and it's phenomenal having these little doohickeys around.
Yeah,
okay,
Alex, I like that.
Alex Lindsay. I tell you, he sounds more like Alex Lindsay every day now.
Yeah, he's starting to have that flavor, isn't he?
As I said, Michael,
that's not a bad thing.
Alex,
Portis, it really
Lindsay.
isn't. Although I tell you what, you're not quite as hyper as he is.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy, that guy.
It's pretty scary, actually. It makes me uncomfortable to watch that dude. All right.
And he has his expensive taste.
Yeah,
Portis, is there anything you wanted to discuss before we get out of here, even though you just got back in?
Get back in. Yay, random Mac updates. For people of note, this week, mobile-wise, for editing, Pixelmator is on sale this week.
Ooh, that's a hot one.
For those who have iPads, it is on sale right now, so go grab it. I think it's 99. I think it's 99 cents.
Boy, that's cheap.
Hold on, let me double check and make sure it is 99 cents. But I'm almost dead positive it's 99 cents. Or incredibly, it's normally $10, and it is $4.99, half price right now.
That's
Everything's
awesome,
minutes.
dude.
But you know what is 99? What is 99 cents for those who do edit not just photos but videos? Pinnacle Studio for iPad and iPhone are both 99 cents this week, so go grab those.
No, Pinnacle's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Long time, exactly. When I learned to edit, I learned Pinnacle was the business.
I was right there with you.
So for those video editors out there, Pinnacle is available.
When they get Avid to run on my iPad, then we'll talk.
Yeah, it's over when that happens.
I've heard of Pinnacle, but I hadn't heard of Avid.
Inlight Photo for those iPhone people are 99 cents this
Man,
week.
Inlight is getting a lot of legs.
It's 99 cents this week. It's normally $6.
I got mine free.
I got
It
mine
was a
free.
featured app at Starbucks a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, nice.
And there's the tip of the week, dude.
Yeah, get the
Go to
featured
Starbucks.
app
If you
at
don't have the Starbucks app on your phone, get it. Even if you don't like their coffee, because
Get it for the free apps.
it's a freebie app.
I have it. Are the apps just strictly iOS? I do have the app. I've never used the app though.
You know what? They make a Google one. I would imagine
I
they
was
would
going to
give
say, I've got the iOS phone, so I suspect it's what they give to me.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So
Yeah.
Right. Imagine it depends on. All right, if you have it for Android and you have the Android app, it'll give you Android apps.
So
Okay,
this week,
that would make sense. So
right? So this week it was the New York crossword puzzle app.
puzzle app. So,
You know,
so
they
other
kind
than
of run the
that,
gamut.
wonder if I have a Starbucks account already. Probably
I know I do.
Don't.
oh boy.
Oh, I do.
I don't.
Hey, I have such a Starbucks account. Where's my wallet? I got
If they had
myself
Now,
a gold
if they
card.
had a
with my name
Dunkin'
on it,
Donuts
that boy.
account,
Oh, I got my gold card.
Yeah.
I've got a couple gold
You
cards.
see, I'm a Dunkin' guy. That's probably why.
if they had a Dunkin' Donuts account, I would have gotten
I
it
Well,
can't
because
stand
Southern
Dunkin'
app,
Donuts.
because I love their coffee.
Oh,
Dunkin'
you can have it.
because their donuts are not good. at
The
Dunkin'.
what?
I'm
No.
not. You know
See,
what?
we about
Honestly,
to, we
okay,
about
here
to
we go.
boot you out of here.
No,
No.
so here's the thing.
This is the East-West divide right there.
Yeah,
Here's the deal.
clearly.
It's not because Dunkin' Donuts aren't good. They're just not as good as here in Modesto. We have this place called Mr. T's.
No. That's different, Portis. Portis, I feel you.
There's this donut place called Mr. T's, and it's right. They put that Dunkin' Donuts right there by Mr. T's in order to take away. But Mr. T's just hand over fist is a much better donut. Where else can you get a bacon maple donut? At
Dude, I
2 o'clock in
get
the morning?
that. I love the local joints. There's one here. I love the local donut shops.
Right.
over-
I mean,
over
if I go to Dunkin' Donuts and just have a coffee and a donut, I'm fine. But the breakfast is not good.
yeah,
I don't
it's
care
microwave,
what
it's
way you cut it.
microwave food.
And
When I go
outside
I
of getting like a black cup of coffee, I'm not getting Dunkin'
You
Donuts.
know,
Black cup of
the only
coffee
thing
and a
that might
maple
come
bar.
to this level, Ant, for discussion is a chili feast steak.
That or and the problem is we have Krispy Kreme here
This is
also,
true.
and those donuts are just amazing.
They're
Krispy Kreme
obnoxious.
is good, but they're
We
not
don't have them
crazy.
here because here it's Dunkin' Donuts. In fact, that's one place you don't go rob. It's a Dunkin' Donuts.
Because all the cops are there.
Eggs.
Well, out here they're all at
found out that
Starbucks.
someone tried it 2 weeks ago. They went to rob a Dunkin' Donuts, and there was a whole restaurant full of plainclothes detectives.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
Unbelievable.
brilliant. That's brilliance for you.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's all I got this week, really.
Well, you the man on that. I just posted in social about Pixelmator, so I need to do Enlight as well, right?
Yeah, and that also is on sale.
As well. Okay. We'll get that out there to these folks. Those are some pretty hot apps out there. All right, I'm gonna let you guys sign off and tell everybody bye-bye and let them know where they can find where they can find your work. You know, 'cause all of y'all got some work out there. So where can we find your work, Mr. King? You're up.
I can be found at wherever on the interwebs at Michael King 4023. That's Facebook, Flickr, Google Plus, Twitter, whatever. And I can be probably found in bed if it's not storming this weekend.
We'll,
I am tired of being on the road doing claims.
well,
Yeah,
we'll just leave that up to the assumptions, the whole bed thing.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you joining us, bro.
I did see my first tornado. I've never seen one.
You can keep that too.
I wish I had my SLR because I would have. We were following it.
Oh goodness. All right, appreciate you joining us, man. Next up, Johnny come lately, then he leaves, and then he comes back one more time, Mr. Michael Portis.
It's the second week of Strawberry Festival, so I'll be at the Arroyo Grande Strawberry Festival this weekend drinking root beer. I'm very excited about it.
Not a root beer fan, but to
I'm a
each his own.
huge root beer fan.
You and Robert Knight, good gosh.
No,
Shout out.
Oh, I love
I
love root beer floats.
I have ginger beer tonight, is what I'm drinking.
Don't like ginger beer. I've had ginger beer. Don't like
some ginger beer I like.
So Miss Portis went to Sprout, so I said, hey, pick me up some. But other than that, I'm working on justmichaelportis.com, so we'll get it when it's done. I'll let you guys know.
Oh, also, I can be found at Old Town Spring at the Mud Bud Festival.
Mud Bud.
Mud Bud. What the heck
Bug.
is that?
Crawfish.
Oh, okay, that a boy. Yeah,
They're called mud bugs. That's where you find them in the mud.
Yeah, I dig that. They're great. They're
But
outstanding.
yeah, no, other than that, regulars, a Black and a Mac, blackandamac.com, stuff like that. Whatever social media you want.
My man. Hey, you plugged a news site last week, and I think I tried to go to it and didn't
It's
get it
not
to
up
resolve.
yet. Not up yet.
Ooh.
Just,
Okay,
I'm
so-
still working
so
on
that's
it.
why it
Working on
didn't
it.
work for you.
Way to
Still
go.
No, just I'm in the process of changing all like my, because I have my Black on a Mac Twitter and then I have my personal one that I just use for things, and so I'm getting everything transitioned over during the week. So give me a couple more weeks, a couple more long road trips, and we'll get it done.
Word. All right. Thank you for joining, brother.
My pleasure.
Next up, my man Mike Sweeney.
You can find me at my normal website, msmedia.me. You can find me at the Pantry, downtown LA, Saturday morning, 8:30.
Photo walk.
Huh?
Photo walk.
Oh, this is Stuff Your Belly.
Yes.
We will stuff face and
Sweeney says,
probably
"I will be
walk
there."
afterwards, but
He says, I will be there
My-
handling business.
My oldest is in your neck of the woods, Mike.
Really?
She's in the park. She's been in the park the last 3 days.
is she there for the big 24-hour thing?
No, she's leaving right before.
Oh, that's all right. 80,000 people isn't my idea of fun.
No.
No, wait, hold on now. Nah, you give me about 80,000 people in a stadium screaming at a bunch of guys playing football.
That's fun.
This is
80,000 people
this is 80,000 people in Disneyland.
Oh, no.
No, thank you.
I'll pass, sir.
So
Thank you.
anyways, I'll be at the Pantry, which is a world classic eatery, continuous operation since 1922.
That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
it's open 24 hours a day, so we'll be there at 8:30 with the kids in tow and start introducing them to some of the finer dining in LA.
That is what's up, man. That's what's up. Appreciate
and then next week, it's going to be sand soccer, my man.
Uh-oh. Man, your soccer shots have been insane, dude.
Yeah, well,
Your soccer shots have been insane.
just wait. Just wait till we start shooting on the sand.
Well, that's going to be good.
I'm a little nervous myself thinking about that.
I've got
man.
my iPhone 5 case to be in the beach. I've got my 16 millimeter and I got my 200 millimeter. We're gonna rock this.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I'm nervous, man. Sand and cameras.
It's all insured.
Yeah.
It's all
Okay.
insured and all in
It can't be any
cases.
worse than mine. I'm going
Good.
to be out shooting too, and I'm going to be having cameras on my
Are you going to use your Piccatelli rail?
and
Finally.
I've got it. I'm going to be taking pictures, and hopefully my iPhone 6 doesn't go flying.
Yeah, no kidding.
Famous last words.
So my cheap trick is shooting in the sand. Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You basically bag your camera,
Yeah.
you zip it up, and then you take a filter and you screw it through the plastic on the lens and rubber band around it, and you're ready to rock it.
Oh, interesting. You got to take a picture of that. You got to take a picture
I
of
could
that.
do
for
that.
sure. I'd love to see that. Wow. Thank you again, brother. Be sure to check out his book in iTunes. The book is called
How to take amazing iPhone photography.
Damn right. In iTunes, folks. Damn right. All right. Lastly, myself. I am Ant Pruitt. You can find me here on Google+, of course. Also find me on Twitter at the handle of Ant_Pruitt. If you don't know what an underscore is, it's that little thing right there.
Oh, nailed it.
I'm impressed.
How much practice did that take?
Can be taught.
I
It
can't
can
do it
be
again.
taught.
I probably can't do it again.
Now you
Oh, you got it. He can be taught. Believe it or not, Ant can actually be taught.
You shut it. Anyway, find me on those two social networks. I spend a lot of time on both of them with different content, sometimes the same content. Be sure to check out our website, smartphone-photographers.com. Also check out amazingphonephotos.com. I appreciate the photos that have been coming in to, requesting for publishing on there. Just email photos@amazingphonephotos.com, and maybe your shot will get published up there. Next week, what is this he's sharing?
Finish up. This is just a little shout out I'll do at the very end.
Oh, okay. Next week, we, as I said in the beginning of the hangout, we are extending the event. We are extending the HighKey event. So community members, get out there and take a crack at this challenge. I'm gonna make an effort and see if I can get this thing figured out. But take a crack at this challenge, and we're gonna extend it until next week. Speaking of next week, we may not hang out next
It's a
week.
holiday, dude.
Yeah.
If we do this, I'm going to be at the barbecue with the mic.
On Thursday?
We'll see. The holiday is Monday, but for some people's world, like Sweeney's world, it runs the whole week.
It does, man.
It's true.
No, it is.
It's been a long year so far.
I heard that, brother. I wouldn't be able to host. I'm going to be out in your guys' neck of the woods in San Francisco for the Google event. A Google extended event. Yeah.
I-O.
And I don't know when I'll be finished.
I-O.
I can't commit to hosting next week, and I don't want to ask you guys to host next week either with the holiday and all that. So
What is this holiday?
Monday.
That's
Monday
Monday.
is.
What holiday is Thursday?
There's
There
nothing
isn't one.
Thursday. It's just
My holiday.
it's a short week, is what we're saying.
Every
short
week
week.
is only 3 days when you live as Michael Portis does.
Wow. I'm glad I don't live as Michael Portis.
3 days. Because
Well,
if
you know what that means,
about it-
Michael? That just means you're in the ground faster than the rest of us.
That's what,
Right.
that's what it sounds like.
Right.
Every week. Well, if you think about my work week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fridays are travel days. Saturdays and Sundays I'm out of town, and then Monday's a recovery day.
He
So
almost
you
sounds
got
like
one
Johnny
day of
Carson's hours.
You got 1 day of rest. I
One
can't
day of
do
rest, and I'm back at it.
All right. So I got one little shout out for you guys.
that. What's that?
That's actually I'm kind of amused by it and pleased. So what I got on the screen is a little Etsy shop I just set up for my 11-year-old.
Oh, man.
And so what we have here, let's see if you can actually see this, this is some of her art that she does. And I told her I'd set up an Etsy shop. And so we got her art out there in the world now.
Dude, that's cool.
And we're going to see what happens.
I hope she doesn't get in trouble with Disney.
No, that's
cool.
fine.
This one doesn't say anything Disney on it.
Yeah, that's just the image, dude.
And,
Of Ariel.
Well,
No. Actually, it says Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid. So that's good. Lil is not little.
Yep. And then she loves her anime, so she's got some anime coming in.
Cool.
We got a few more that we're going to be putting up. But You might want to stop by and pay her a visit.
That's
You can
awesome.
find
man.
her at the Etsy Sketcher.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
nice.
come up with a fun little name for her, but at 11 years old, she's starting to be an entrepreneur. So
That's
Did it?
awesome.
Oh
we
yeah.
have to support that.
Put it in, man. Put it in. That's
Yep.
what's up. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight. Thank you to the folks that's been watching and tolerating our foolishness as we talked about different tips and tricks to make you a better smartphone photographer. Join us every Thursday, other than next Thursday, to get more tips and tricks and learn a little bit more about this little craft. I want to give a shout out to my man Robert Knight. Hope he's doing well out there with the newborn twins still. Well, they're not newborn now, but they're still pretty daggum young.
Yeah, they are.
And a shout out to my man Paul Anderson. Too bad you weren't able to hop in tonight. Would have been fun having you in. Be sure to check out all the things that these guys mentioned and check out the website. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.